This is going to be the first lesson in a series of guitar lessons. So what I want to do today is to go over the physicality of the instrument, the guitar. The guitar has several, we named several parts to it. This would be the head of the guitar. These are tuning pegs, which I'll have to do a lesson on tuning because I'm sure a lot of your guitars are not in tune. This white piece here is called the nut. This whole thing is the neck, and these little silver pieces going across, these are called frets. This whole section down here is the body. You see this hole? This is called the sound hole. The sound hole is open because inside the guitar is space. And that space is called the resonator. That's important. The resonator takes all the vibrations and then pushes them out so it amplifies the sound. It makes it louder. Acoustic instruments like this guitar have resonators. They have this space inside the instrument that collects the sound. Resonator. This is the bridge here. And this other white piece is the saddle. So we have the head, tuning pegs, the nut, the neck, the frets, and the strings, of course, the resonator inside, the sound hole, the bridge, and the saddle. Now, the saddle and the nut, I don't know if you can see that very well, are what hold the strings up above the neck so that it can vibrate. If we didn't have these two pieces, the strings couldn't vibrate. So right now, my strings are this long, from here to here. And when it's in tune, it makes that sound when the string is this long and vibrating. What do you think will happen if I change the length of the string? Well, that's what these frets here let me do. I can go to this 5th fret here and push the string down. So now my string is this long, from here to here, whereas before it was way longer. So what do you think will happen now that I've shortened my string? Let's find out. It got higher because the smaller the instrument is, the higher the sound. And in this case, the shorter the string is, the higher the sound gets. And as I keep making the string shorter, the sound gets higher and higher. So that's the physicality of how it works. That's important to know. We want to understand how the instrument works. So let's take a look at these frets. This would be fret 1, that bar right there. But a lot of times when I say something like fret 1, what I really mean is this box in here. Because when I push the string down, I'm not going to push it right on top of the fret. I don't get a good sound that way. I'm going to actually be behind the fret. And the fret's what's actually holding the string up. So I like to say, I say fret 1, but I really mean this box. You see, here's the nut, and here's the fret. It creates this little box in here. So I mean, I'm putting my finger down inside the box, close to the fret, but not on top. If I'm thinking in terms of numbers, the nut here would be like a 0. Or open string. And then I'd have my first fret, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and there's 12 way up there. Now, here's how I'm using my finger to push the string down. I'm using the very tip of my finger. You can see there's a little crevice in there now. So I'm taking my finger and I'm using the very tip of it, and my thumb is kind of like right behind it. This is something to be aware of. A lot of kids will sometimes have their thumb way up here, and that makes it very hard to play. You want to actually keep your thumb there in the back. Get that out of the frame. So it's like I'm pinching there, but my thumb is actually on the back of the neck, and my finger tip is pushing the string down. Notice I'm all the way on top of the fretboard here. I'm not doing this, because once I get to other strings, I'll start touching the strings below it. I don't want to do that. I want to keep my fingers up above. See, like that. So now I can touch a string and only one string. If I'm doing it like this, look, I'm going to touch these strings down here, and I don't want to do that. I want to be up and above it. All right, let's move on then. There are two ways you can hold the guitar. There's actually several ways. I'm just going to show you two ways. The first way is the classical position. And there I have my guitar, and the waist. This side of the waist is going to go on my leg, with this bottom part of the guitar going in between my leg, resting on the other leg, and the back of it here rests on my tummy. Then my arm will sit here like I'm sitting at the kitchen table. And what this allows me to do is have my hands free. If you give me two thumbs up, you have it correct. This is by far the best way to hold the guitar because it's secure, and now the fret is at a diagonal pointing up, and when my hand comes up to play, my fingers are in line with the strings just naturally. So that's what makes that the best way. It is also the most uncomfortable way to play, so I don't much play that way. The way I end up playing is in the folk position. So I'm going to take the waist here of the guitar and put it on my other leg, touch it to my tummy, and then my arm is here at the back. So I have 3 points of contact, and my hands are free. So when I put my hand up, my fingers aren't in line with the strings anymore, so I have to make a slight adjustment. And what I do is I bring my arm in and my fingers like this. This is the folk position. You can choose whichever way you want to. Sometimes I'll sit in the flamenco style position. You'll see them, they'll cross their legs like this. And what this allows them is for this 12th fret to be kind of centered in the body, and then it's a little easier to play those fast flamenco rhythms. All right, let's talk about our left hand position. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to come up underneath. I'm going to take my first finger. Oh, by the way, we count our fingers 1, 2, 3, 4 in guitar. Unlike piano, this would be 1, but we don't count our thumb that way because we're using it to help us hold the strings down. So I'm going to take my first finger and I'm going to come up underneath and I'm going to lay it right on the nut. 0. If it's the number, it would be 0. What this does is it puts my hand in the right position, because this is how I want my hand. My fingers and my thumb, they would go up and down together like that. See? Your thumb never gets planted and then you move your hand. It all moves together. So I lay my first finger across the nut. Let's go ahead and count the frets together. So I'm going to go in that first box, because remember, I don't want to be on top of the fret. I want to be in the box. That'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take a look at that 5th fret. You might notice there's something on your guitar. It's a dot. I actually have one on my 3rd fret too. A lot of times they just start at the 5th fret. That's important to note. So I'm on 5, 6, 7, Hold up now. What is that? Hello, hello, hello. It's another dot. So I have frets on the 3rd, 5th, and 7th frets. Let's keep going. 8, 9. Wait a second. Another fret. So far, every fret that has a dot is an odd number. 3, 5, 7, and 9. That's important because that lets us move around the fretboard much faster and we know where we're going. So if I say put your finger on fret 3, boom, you got it. How about fret 7? It's that quick. 3, 5, 7, and 9. So go back to 9. Move your finger to 0. Oh, if you went back to the nut, you are correct. How about fret 5? Boom. Did you get to it quickly? How about fret 7? Boom. And 9? Boom. I hope you're getting to it quickly. So let's keep going from 9. Go to 10, 11, and 12. I have 2 dots at fret 12. You probably have something like that. But now we've broken the rule. Because all the other ones were odd numbers, and now here I'm at fret 12, and there's dots. Here's the reason for that. Once you get to fret 12, you've hit the octave of that note. So this string right here is the 6th string. It's the biggest string. It's called the 6th string. It's an E. Now, if I push down up at the 12th fret, it's still an E. It's just an octave higher. The low E and an E that's an octave higher. So that's why we have the double dots there. All right. Now, let's count the strings. We count the strings starting from the lowest string. The string closest to our toes is string 1. 1, and then the next one is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. All this is important to know. It helps us learn to play the guitar. So we have string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's how we count the strings. Now let's see how well you can do. I'm gonna ask you a question, and I'm gonna give you a second to try to figure it out on your own. I want you to find the note on string 5, fret 2, and I want you to use your 2nd finger to find it. If you need more time, go ahead and pause this video and then turn it back on when you find it. Alright, I asked for string 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's string 5. Fret 2. Oh, here's string 5 up here. 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 0, 1, 2. There it is, and I wanted to use my 2nd finger. Boom. Did you figure it out? How well did you do? This, my friends, is an E minor 7 chord. If I'm being careful to hold my finger up above and only touch the string that I'm pushing down, and all the other ones can ring out, I have an E minor 7 chord. And then, of course, with my other hand, I can strum down. Can you play that with me? Let me see if I can remember a cool song. My paddle's keen and bright, flashing with silver. Follow the wild goose flight. Dip, dip, and swing. Dip, dip, and swing her back, flashing with silver. Follow the wild goose flight, dip, dip, and How'd you do? Did you play along with me? Could you hear all the notes ringing out? Was one finger touching one string? That's the E minor 7. Let's do it again one more time for the big finish. 1, 2, 3. My paddle's keen and bright, flashing with silver. Follow the wild goose flight, dip, dip and swing. Dip, dip and swing her back, flashing with silver. Follow the wild goose flight, dip, dip and swing. Just don't want to remember that bit. If this is your first time picking up a guitar, remember it gets easier with practice, and it's okay to make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time in my playing, but I fake it so most people don't know. That's what I want you to do. And if you get too frustrated with it, put it down for a little bit, come back to it. It'll be easier then.